these training compounds, they host paramilitary training. They host armories, for lack of a better term. And as I said, school buses, my goodness, the one in Hancock, New York, it was shown on InfoWars, where school buses were in fact used. A school bus was used for practice. Keep your eye on this, because as we see the continued banning of the truth, you're going to see there's a what can I say? There's a relationship between the exposure of the truth and the suppression of that truth. And that's what we're seeing today. The more that we expose, the more they've got to ban. Doug Hagman sitting in for Alex Jones. Doug Hagman, HagmanReport.com. Sitting in for Alex, Infowars.com. At the tip of the spear, obviously, making a difference in the marketplace. And as I spoke earlier about the censorship ban, and I want to get to a couple of other issues here, including some expansion about the New Mexico Islamist compound. I want to get to that here before the end of this segment. But I did find on the Daily Caller, and I'm not sure if Alex went over this or not, but Twitter plans hate speech crackdown after backlash from upset employees. Aw, they want your binkies and blankets. That's right. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey on yesterday, signaled a coming change to his company's speech policies following pressure from his own employees. So what can you say about this? So Twitter is next. Although you've got the shadow banning on Twitter, you've got all of the other issues, the censorship of political opponents, which in and of itself, you've got the left yelling collusion, for crying out loud. Where's the collusion? The collusion is here with these companies, but now Twitter, of course, saying, well, we're going to change some things. We're going to change some things. So they're planning to accelerate a crackdown on hate speech. Of course, hate speech, that's the key phrase, hate speech. I'd like someone to define exactly what hate speech is. What are the parameters? It's truly subjective. Paul Joseph Watson did videos on hate speech and what have you, but it's all we're in a very dangerous time right now. And of course, as Alex Jones has said, and as I've said, they're coming obviously not just for your guns, but they're coming for you. Second Amendment, First Amendment, here it is. Which is why, by the way, you need to support this operation. Brain Force, 40% off plus free shipping. I can't tell you what a difference that makes. If you're not taking Brain Force, you got to be taking it. It offers clarity. Of course, you can't judge it by me, right? But seriously, clarity, the super male vitality, that makes a huge difference. All of the products make a great difference. But if you want to be in this fight and you want to stay in this fight, you got to be healthy. So get yourself going with the products at InfoWars store. They've got a super special going on. The mainstream media, of course, they're doing everything they can do to shut InfoWars down. Just wipe them, just erase them off the planet. While the tech giants work to remove InfoWars, remove us from the internet, InfoWars, they're dropping their already incredibly low prices and incredible products prices to help you support the InfoWars. So please do so. Get some skin in the game. So that's Twitter. And here it is. It's Twitter. It's changes are coming there. And I referenced, of course, the last segment about do we really want government involved in this? But look toward the actions of Obama. Look toward the actions of all of the usual suspects as being involved in what you see. And how are we going to fight them? We're going to fight them with everything we got, because they're not going to win. I guarantee you. We're not going to let them win. And I ask you, help us, support us. Now, one of the most important things I think that in addition to the censorship, of course, is the infiltration. Alex talked about the Chi-Coms and the Chinese, of course, the espionage or the potential espionage, Dianne Feinstein. We have the Democratic IT scandal with the Oman brothers. You've got all of this foreign influence in this country. But you've got something else as well. You've got now reported this week New Mexico, the New Mexico compound, dad arrested at extremist Muslim. Note they have to put a modifier there, extremist. Extremist Muslim site trained kids to commit school shootings. And I spoke a little bit about this in the first segment with Alex, but I wanted just to connect some dots here, because what we're seeing and what we've been screaming about for a long time are these Islamic training compounds. Now, this is rudimentary at best, and it was, but nonetheless, it doesn't take much to organize a group of school children, young children, show them how to use guns, and then push them off to commit school shootings. Think about that for a second. The guy behind this particular camp, Siraj bin Wahaj, by the way, his son was reported missing, and the remains of a boy found on the property are believed to be those of his son. And in addition to Siraj bin Wahaj, you've got other individuals that were also arrested. But the big story here is this, and the big takeaway is this. All across the United States, you've got this infiltration of Islamic extremist Muslims who are intent on bringing down our representative republic in favor of a country or an area ruled by Sharia. They have no intention whatsoever of assimilation. You've got open borders which permit this invasion that's not limited to the Central American residents. It's not limited to residents of Mexico. It's actually bringing forth individuals from the Middle East, from Yemen, from other Middle Eastern countries or South or African countries. And as they come into this country, they hook up and they develop, they hook up with people like Sheikh Mubarak Ali Jalani. They get involved with these organizations such as Jamaat al-Fukra. And by the way, if Sheikh Mubarak Ali Jalani, if that name rings a bell, he's the sheikh who Daniel Pearl was going to interview in Lahore, Pakistan, when he was kidnapped and subsequently found beheaded. Now, the FBI, of course, cleared Jalani. Just to be clear, because I certainly don't need a another lawsuit from Jalani. But just to be clear, Jalani, of course, was the man that Daniel Pearl was going to meet when he was kidnapped. But of course, the FBI cleared him of all suspicion. So what we have with this New Mexico compound is just a very tip of the iceberg. You've got numerous compounds all across the United States. I've documented one in Hancock, as I said, Hancock, New York, which was the actually at one time served as the headquarters of this Islamic group called Jamaat al-Fukra. And as I said before, Dr. Paul Williams and myself, we've written extensively about it. These training compounds, they host paramilitary training. They host armories, for lack of a better term. And as I said, school buses, my goodness, the one in Hancock, New York, it was shown on InfoWars, where school buses were in fact used. A school bus was used for practice. Keep your eye on this, because as we see the continued banning of the truth, you're going to see there's a what can I say? There's a relationship between the exposure of the truth and the suppression of that truth. And that's what we're seeing today. The more that we expose, the more they've got to ban. So look for additional information from this particular training compound and this story as it spreads across the United States. Just to be clear, when I turned over back in when I did my investigation of the Hancock report and I turned that information over to the FBI, Sheikh Jalani was notified ostensibly by the FBI after I turned my report in, and hence I've got a religious statement or fatwa filed against me. It's still on the internet. You can read it. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but it's out there. And that gave me a visit from the FBI. A couple of agents said, you know what, we can't provide you security, but we wish you well and be careful. and increase your security. So this is what we as American citizens face today. And that, by the way, was under the Bush administration, and it continued even worse under Obama. So in closing, as I wrap this up, and I'm so honored, by the way, to be here for Alex Jones, especially at a time like this, and for InfoWars, especially at a time like this. As I wrap this up, we are engaged in a civil war. We're engaged in an asymmetrical warfare, and I'm gonna close with this question: what could be worse than a civil war? I would say possibly not having a civil war. I'd like you to think about that as you finish your week and as we play really for all the marbles. And we are playing for all the marbles. They certainly are. The fascists, the Nazis, the deep state are playing for all the marbles. Folks, thank you so much. Doug Hagman again for Alex Jones, InfoWars, Infowars.com. Please, if you do nothing else, support the war effort, support InfoWars. Go to InfoWarsStore.com. A variety of products and merchandise there. It helps the cause. God bless each and every one of you. Thanks for having me.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
He goes to jail. He goes to jail. Lock him up.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Look at that. Everybody else is just like yellow or clear. That's because it's been denatured, it's been watered down. We didn't do that. You think I would metaphysically sell you something that this is the very best I can get? I'd rather go to hell than do that. I will only give you the maximum best info, the maximum truth, the maximum product, because I want that goodwill. What I do to you, I do to myself. Don't you get the big secret? You ever seen fish oil look like that? No, you never seen that, have you? And this little jewel right here is solid, liquid consciousness. Look it up. Find out how even the FDA and the government admits fish oil is incredible. The number one thing anybody can do for themselves is take good fish oil or krill oil. Just like our information is dynamite, so are our products, InfoWarsStore.com.